Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all.
That's beach activity! Whoa!
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcast should have a theme song. Podcast should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
So, Hal, before we go to the beach, it's nice to see you. How are you? You were showing us, you just received in the mail your childhood collection of Star Wars collectibles.
I did. Well, here's all I sent myself was my land speeder, which you can see over there sitting on top of Size Noodles in the Max Rebo band. That is what that thin tan line is.
Gotcha.
I also shipped myself the Darth Vader bust case that I had filled with toys. Did not send the C-3PO, which is empty because I just didn't have space in the box for it. The box was ridiculously expensive because those cases don't fit in a regular box. And then I also, I'll show you this very quickly, sent myself this plastic bag, which has Skeletor, Ram Man, and Manny faces, plus Max Rebo, just because he fits there and didn't fit in the case.
Oh, I love all of this so much. So
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a C-3PO, like, plastic head that you could fill with the Kenner toys. I thought it was just the Darth Vader.
There were 3 themed cases overall.
Yeah.
There was the original, there was like a plastic one that you would open up that would have room for everything. Then there was the Darth Vader bust case that came out in like, I think 1980, 79, 80. It was Empire Strikes Back themed. And then around Return of the Jedi, they released the C-3PO, which is there was originally a shiny version and then later a duller version because I think the shiny finish would come off. I had a shiny one. I mean, I still do.
Yeah.
And then the other one
Was that lead paint? Are you okay?
Yeah, it was vac metallized, but I put lead paint on it and ate it. And that explains everything. And then, Chewbacca's bandolier, which had foam spots to hold the figures and then 2 cases, like little coffin cases to hold the guns.
A bandolier full of Star Wars figures makes me think that those Star Wars figures can just be put into any gun and shot like bullets. Is that true?
Correct.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you got those in the mail. It is an exciting day, and I recognize many of them from my childhood. Yours have more capes than mine. My capes and helmets were gone day one.
I have one cape. That's it. And then not the cape I want.
We have a bunch of helmets. I did see a lot of helmets in the mail.
There's one helmet. Well, I mean, the Stormtrooper ones don't come off.
Oh, they don't?
That's just their head.
You can't see what an actual Stormtrooper looks like under there until Force Awakens.
Only the Luke one where it looked like a linebacker and then you take the helmet off. You're like, oh, that's Luke. Like they couldn't figure out, like, what if we just put the head, maybe the head proportion didn't work or something, but it's very weird. Like super bulky.
You know who I thought looked like a linebacker was, Elsa in the first half of the Frozen musical at Disneyland because she's hiding her costume in the shoulder pads. She's hiding her blue dress in the shoulder pads of the purple beginning of the movie dress. Well, if you look behind me, Hal, you will see an absolute mess for maybe the first time ever in my apartment.
What's going on?
I'll tell you what's going on. I did one of those. I go to do one tiny thing and it explodes into a giant thing. Mm-hmm. So what was me filling the hole in a wall became me stripping about 40 years of paint off of one wall and redoing the whole thing in my kitchen. So that's been my afternoon. You've been playing with your childhood toys and reconnecting with your youth. Mm-hmm. I have been in the money pit. I'm just waiting for there to be a hole underneath one of these rugs in here.
Can I go back and do a bit to something you were referencing earlier?
Sure.
Elsa, linebacker, Arendelle State. All right.
Let's go to the beach.
Shall we? This was suggested by one half of what I've now termed the first couple of We Got This, or the first couple of the people of the world, that being Greg On.
What's up,
Greg On? The
Greg
other half of that
On?
being Leslie Troutman. They are a married couple who I believe lives somewhere in the greater Philadelphia area, if not within the city limits itself.
Well, this is a great topic because this is a fun For the day that both of us have had, Hal.
Yes. What
me
a
in
day.
the money pit and you in Kenner heaven.
To be clear, I was working all day. I pulled that out 30 seconds before you got on Zoom to go,
Oh, really?
"Look, you want to see the stuff I have, Ken? We have time. Mark's not going to be here." And then
I just
kept
assumed you
going.
guys had been doing that all day and that this Zoom started at like 9 a.m.
Yeah, Ken opens all his toys while I make mine kiss. That's what we do all day, every day.
No, I think it's time for us to go to the beach and have some good old fashioned beachside fun.
Yeah.
I say beachside, and that begs the question, what are we considering a beach day activity? Because there are beach day activities that happen in the water. There are beach day activities that happen on the shore. There are beach day activities that happen on the boardwalk.
No.
You think that's not a beach day activity? You think this is
I think let's keep it on the
sand
beach.
to water?
Because here's the thing. If you go to Ventura and you're on the beach there, you have a boardwalk. If you go to Malibu, you go to maybe Manhattan Beach is a little Manhattan Hermosa. There's sort of a boardwalk there, but like Dockweiler, there are plenty of beaches, especially here in Southern California where there is no boardwalk. And even in, some parts of like Margate, New Jersey, there's not a proper, you have to go a little further, go to like Ventnor where you're getting into Atlantic City. And then there's that boardwalk. There's the Ocean City boardwalk.
I've been to Ventnor and that boardwalk because I got paid $200 every time I made it all the way around to visit them again.
That's right. And you could have bought it if somebody hadn't snapped it up first.
$200. Can you believe it?
Yeah. And once the hotel goes up, paying dearly. That's big money there. But that's its own thing. I could spend the entirety of this episode and 3 more episodes talking about everything I love about boardwalks and things that I do on boardwalks. But I think we should keep it to in the water on the beach. You've arrived at the beach. There are a lot of different things that you can do while you're there. What's the best activity?
Yeah.
And then we'll pick from that. Does that sound fair?
Yeah. And I think that using those as our boundaries, I think we can take a look at them as 2 separate things you do on the sand and things you do in the water. So which of those 2 would you like to tackle first? I have a couple of ideas of major contenders, I think, within those.
We can talk about the water. Start there. I think it's a little bit more limited.
Yeah. In the water, I think there are 3 big ones.
Okay.
Well, 3 big ones if we're not counting things you do on a boat, because there are also shore excursion kind of beach things like the banana boat and parasailing.
Those feel so like they're in such specific areas. I'm happy to include them if you want.
You're a boardwalk guy, Hal. I'm a panhandle of Florida guy.
Those banana boats are they're fun. You're always, really it's just like the thing of you have to assess everybody else who's on the banana boat.
Yep.
And say, all right, which one of you is going to go flying? Because it's like one person generally. One person goes flying and you have to figure out, like, if you can't spot the flyer in the first 30 seconds, it's you.
Yep. Yeah. You're going to be the one getting, for those who don't know, if you've never seen a banana boat, it literally looks like a banana and it is pulled behind a speedboat the way that a water skier is. But you're doing it in the ocean where there are great big waves, which makes it very fun and a kind of a cross between water skiing and a rodeo. If there were 4 people on the horse and the horse was shaped like a banana.
And the only way you could hold on instead of having your feet in stirrups was to hold the handle in front of you that can maybe fit both of your hands.
Yeah, maybe.
Not comfortably.
I do love both of those, but I guess those are more like beach resort activities.
Yeah. They also feel like lake activities too.
No, lake's too flat for a banana boat. It would just be like 4 people on a tandem motorcycle.
No, you jump the wake. You have them jump the wake.
Oh,
it's the same with like kneeboarding and stuff. You take them in a circle. You take them in a straight line at a high speed. You create a wake. Then you immediately whip them around and jump the wake. That's how you do it.
My brother and
I know that because I've been on the one where you're on like a tube laying on your stomach. Like your instinct would be, I'm going to sit upright in this thing or sit back and hold on to it. But they say, no, lay down facing the boat. And then when you go over the wake, your back bends the way your back's not supposed to bend. And you go, well, why the heck didn't I just do what my instinct was? Because I knew this was like as a child.
Yeah.
I was like pre-13. I was like, for sure, I know laying down in this that instinctually, this is the wrong way to do it. I'm going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And the other way, I could go forever and have a great time.
Do you think you could go forever, or do you think that you would just go flying butt first instead of face first?
No,
or do you mean you could go forever as in like, bring the boat back around and let me load back up? I could do this all day, Captain America style.
Yes. And I didn't go flying. I went up and down. So then my body went into the cavity and like bent the wrong way.
I see.
So like heels going towards the back of my head, like like folding a table the incorrect direction. So I was like, if I sit, that won't happen. If I go flying, I go flying. That's a good time. That's nothing but a good time.
I'll tell you my favorite time flying in one of those. When I was in high school, it was me and my brother, and we were on one of those figure 8 versions of the tube. You ever been on one of those?
Yeah. The double.
So it's 2 people get to go. And when
side
you're
by
on
side,
Side by side. The whole thing looks like an infinity symbol. And of course, when you're with your brother, you are just trying to knock each other off of this thing. So we were on the back of a jet ski that was going pretty fast, and we're wrestling and trying to knock each other off. And our buddy who was driving, Omari Spence, he immediately and abruptly makes the jet ski do a 180 hockey stop style and stops just dead in his tracks and revs it right at us. And he guns it just to the side of us. And as he passes us, he smiles and waves, knowing full well that we are both about to go flying in opposite directions off of this thing. The second that rope gets, which is exactly what happened. I will never forget the look on that guy's face as he came around and just smiled and waved. And my brother and I looked at each other and went, uh-oh, like we were the 2 henchmen in any kids movie that are about to get their comeuppance.
Isn't it weird how we react in this way? I was drowning once as a kid in a pool and struggling to get to the top of the water, like struggle. And I realized I couldn't. And I literally shrugged my arms like, what are you going to do? Guess I'm going to die in this pool.
And that was what took you to the surface? Shrugging gave you just enough lift? How'd you get out?
My mother, who couldn't swim, jumped into the pool and grabbed me and pulled me out.
God bless her. She's the best.
And that was what killed her. It was 2008. No, it wasn't. I was very young. I was a young child. But really, like that moment of like, uh-oh, wave bye-bye.
Yeah.
It's a living.
All right. Well, let's, so we'll eliminate the boat-based excursions then.
Okay.
So let's talk about some things that you can do on the water. I have 4 big ones. Well, 3 big ones and 1 that I personally love. And I don't know how ubiquitous it is. I don't know if you've ever been on this before. Have you ever done an on the water obstacle course?
No.
They're so fun. They're giant inflatable shape. They're just big inflatable shapes with handles. They have little bridges. They have tunnels, and they have one of them is just a giant cone, and you try to stay on, and it is a linear path, and you try to get all the way to the end of this linear path without going in the water.
So you spent your summers on the set of Survivor is what you're telling me?
Yeah, basically it is like it's like a Ninja Warrior thing. Yeah. I just tried it for the first time, about 1.5 years ago with my family in St. Lucia in, the Caribbean. So I was with my 2 very energetic nephews. So it was Caribbean Ninja Warrior. What are you giggling at?
I just love you. Like, there's something I don't know how ubiquitous it is that you talk about something you did within the last 2 years at a resort.
Yeah. It could be ubiquitous. It could be everywhere. I don't know.
When you're hanging out on the beaches of South Carolina, you know how they set up those inflatable.
When was the last time you went to a beach town in the South? They will find any way to spin you, throw you, twist you, launch you.
Yes.
Spray you with paintballs. That's what the South is.
This feels very much like a resort activity.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It is.
I would love to do it. I would have a blast. I would run it. I would be the last one to finish. I would have the time of my life, but it is not. Yeah. I think, let me see if I get the activities that you're talking about that are the main activities. I may be able to throw another one in there. One is surfing. Yes. Surfing on a surfboard. You go out further into the ocean. You line up, catch waves, come in, go back out. The other is boogie boarding or boogie rafting, where you are much closer to the shore. Kids are doing it. You don't have to line up. You're all trying to meet in the wave at once. If you get a good one, it pulls you under and you get that great, like, scary moment and your shorts fill with sand. Then the third would be the skimming that you do at the shoreline where you throw the board and you sort of skim along on those.
I was going to talk about that as the barrier activity between the shore and the water. My third one was simply swimming.
Okay. Yeah. I was adding a fourth one. I figured skimming might be a fourth one. So swimming, boogie boarding, I think surfing is out.
Why is surfing out? That's
because it's not everybody. Not that it isn't huge. Not that it isn't cool to watch. I have a ton of respect for people who do it.
Yeah.
But I cannot get up on a surfboard. And I would guess that the majority
just because you can't get up on a one lesson. Have you ever taken a lesson?
Yes.
Oh,
that was when I tried to get up. I didn't just show up with a surfboard and go, let me give this a shot.
I thought I can't get, or I haven't gotten up on a surfboard is simply from lack of ever experiencing or attempting to do it.
No. On our honeymoon, we took a surfing lesson. That was one of the activities we had lined up. And the thing about Hawaii, in particular Maui, is that there's not sand, on the East Coast. If you crash into some sand below you. That's all it is. Sandbars, sand. That's it. But in Hawaii, in Maui, it's coral. And it is incredibly dangerous. You will tear yourself up. So you have an added incentive not to fall off of that board. And the first thing they teach you is how to fall off the board. They say you're going to do the Nestea plunge. You're going to fall flat backed and then you're not going to touch. So the whole time I'm like, I don't want to touch. I swear I will, like the Three Stooges, I'll jump up on the surface of that water and run across it. And you'll hear the Three Blind Mice playing. But I fell off every time I went, couldn't get up. Jennifer couldn't get up, got up. I couldn't do it. And it wasn't even that it was frustrating. It was just tiring.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think this is for me because it didn't make me want to go back and do it again. And I think there are things where you're like, I wasn't great at this, but I had a really good time. So I want to keep doing it and get better at it.
Right.
This was not one of those.
Did they use the Nestea plunge analogy and did people know what they were talking about? That is a commercial that probably ended in 89.
No, this was 2007. It was still happening.
They still did the Nestea plunge commercials in 2007?
It was at least recent enough that we all knew what it was.
Well, I think you have had a subjective experience that makes you want to take this off the list. I have had a subjective experience that makes me want to keep this on the list. I went surfing in maybe the easiest place to surf, which was in the bathtub, using my fingers as my feet and the top of a Tupperware as my surfboard. So granted, it was super wide. It was almost like a Tom Sawyer or a Huck Finn raft size, comparatively.
Yeah.
No, it was in a Tamarindo in Costa Rica. Okay. And that is a place to go surfing where it is that very gentle sand. It is a break that is precisely the right size waves for a person who has never surfed before. So I had a delightful time. I was not afraid of any coral underneath me because to my knowledge, there was no coral underneath me. About the most dangerous thing I saw while we were there was a lot of howler monkeys and crickets the size of baseballs, but I don't think any of those were in the water. If a howler monkey crawled out of the water like that bear crawled out of the water in Florida a couple weeks ago, did you see that?
No.
A bear. Nobody knows where it came from. A frickin' bear just came out of the water in Panama City Beach, Florida, and Panhandle's like, yep.
And now that bear is mayor.
And now that Mayor Bear.
I am
Panama City.
The reason is not because I had a bad experience. The reason is because I think that surfing is such a specific, like, I don't want to say it's exclusive, but I do want to say that it is not something that the majority of people at the beach will participate in. Like you see the surfers. How many times have you gone surfing since Costa Rica?
Oh, like twice, maybe.
It's not your go-to. If you went back to Costa Rica, you might do it again. You might even, if somebody dragged you out, do it here. But if you were going for a beach day, that would not be the activity you would reach for. You have to specifically be a surfer to do that.
That's true.
Then you enjoy everything later on, but you're there early in the morning. You do your surfing And then you know, with whatever energy you have left, because it is an intense workout for people, because you're paddling out through the waves. You're engaging your core to get up on the board. Like, it's, again, super impressive.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the best activity.
I would agree with that. And I would also throw in that based on the limited number of surf breaks that there are in Southern California, the times that I have been out, and from stories that I have heard from friends, surfers are not necessarily the most welcome group to novices. So if it's one of your first time surfing, at least in the times that I have been out outside of my trip in Tamarindo, it is one of those things where I tend to get in other people's way and get yelled at.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can see that. Now let's go with the fun for everybody version of surfing. And this, I think, is a real contender. And that is bodyboarding. I do not own a surfboard, but I have 2 bodyboards less than 20 feet from me right now that I love to take to the beach in the summer and just ride waves on my belly. Sure. Go out in the water. You swim a little. You get a nice little floaty thing to lean onto so you don't have to tread water if you go out deep.
Yep.
And when you're ready to
try to sit on it like a horse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Boogie board. Is Boogie a brand of bodyboard?
I think it is. I think Boogie board is a particular brand.
It's the Kleenex.
Yes, it's the Kleenex. It's the Q-tip.
Yeah.
But I did it with like a raft. I think it's just like any object you can do that with. It's like an inflatable, like the kind in a pool you would sort of lay on. You would just grab the ropes and that and ride it in, because like we lost the Boogie board to sea one time. It was like, well, this is way less expensive. I'm not going to waste money on that again. And it makes you feel like a surfer. It makes you feel like a surfer without any of the pressure.
Yeah, that's true. I like it a lot.
I do think it's I think swimming in the ocean is fine, but it's not, again, also the skimming is just insane. It's like,
we'll
let me get on a
skimming.
board.
That's going to be our
banana
barrier
peel
thing.
Swimming is fine, but also, I don't know. It feels like you could swim anywhere.
But buddy, there's something about that just walking into the sea. Isn't it?
Oh, that part is great. Yeah. Walking into the sea, going under the waves. But like after that, are you going to swim laps?
No. When I say just be
in the water,
just be in the water, enjoy yourself, swim a little, float a little, splish splash a little, play a game of chicken, you know, not a game of chicken, a chicken fight.
You're not chicken fighting in the ocean.
Sure you can. If you're up at like waist level, you can chicken fight in the ocean.
And then you all fall over.
Yeah. And then a shark
the wrong way. Yeah. The sharks come. They only need like 2 feet of water, Mark. That's all they need to attack.
Do you believe that? You also believe you have to wait an hour to get in the water after you eat?
No, they don't need a lot of water. On our honeymoon, the resort next door, which was a Four Seasons, not Four Seasons, the other fancy one. That's the one that's 2 names.
Yeah.
Not Waldorf Astoria. You know what I'm talking about.
There's the Four Seasons, the Waldorf Astoria, the Howard Johnson, the Doubletree.
We'll just say it's a
Best Western, the Super
Best
8.
West.
All
That's
of these
what it
are
was.
2-word names.
Motel 6.
Motel 6.
I think it was the Four Seasons, but there was a shark attack there. Like in shallow water.
I guess I didn't mean to say believe that. I meant to say factor that in. It is rare that when I go to the water thinking that a shark can attack me in 2 feet of water is something that I factor in.
Something to consider. It's not something to, in New Jersey, it's more like, are the jellyfish out? And when they are and you see them next to you, you take off because you do not
Florida
want to deal
too.
with that.
The worst.
Yeah.
Jellyfish things are the worst.
We don't like that. You want to take boogie boarding from the water?
You know what? I feel like, you
don't swim for that long.
I don't swim for that. I do. So I actually do. When I get out in the water, there's something to me that I really enjoy about different than a swimming pool. I enjoy the force of nature that is the tide and the waves coming in. I feel it makes me feel very small in a way that I really enjoy. But I would say, and the purest version of that is just run out or walk out into the water. And then as a wave comes, dive into that wave. And that's how I get my hair wet and get myself submerged. It's like diving into a pool, but sideways. And then I stay out there and I just sort of let the ocean envelop me. That said, I get most of that experience. I may not get the pure, uninhibited, unencumbered by an object version of it that I would by just running out. But I think the trade-off of having a boogie board is really, really fun.
Yeah.
And plus I have something to float on out there. Anybody can do it. So yeah, I think out of the on water choices, I think that the bodyboard is going to be our best bet.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's take a break. We'll come out of the water. And when we do, we'll stop at the shoreline along the way for an activity, maybe two. And then we'll go to the sands and see what we can do there. In the meantime, take a listen to this.
Hey, Sydney, you're a physician and the co-host of Sawbones, a marital tour of misguided medicine, right?
That's true, Justin.
Is it true that our medical history podcast is just as good as a visit to your primary care physician?
No, Justin, that is absolutely not true. However, our podcast is funny and interesting and a great way to learn about the medical misdeeds of the past as well as some current, not so legit healthcare fads.
So you're saying that by listening to our podcast, people will feel better?
Sure.
And isn't that the same reason that you go to the doctor?
Well, you could say that, but...
And our podcast is free?
Yes, it is free.
You heard it here first, folks. Sawbones, marital tour of misguided medicine right here on Maximum Fun, just as good as going to the doctor.
No. Still not just as good as going to the doctor, but pretty good.
It's up there.
Please tell us what to tape about.
Please tell us what to tape about.
Please.
Because I'm Alex, and she's Katie, and we make Secretly Incredibly Fascinating.
A podcast about the history and science behind seemingly ordinary things.
We've done entire episodes about ham, or shoe sizes, or concrete, or the color beige. We need more ordinary stuff like that.
Our Max Fun members suggest and pick our episode topics through Discord.
So what do you wonder about? What do you wish you could start to find interesting?
Make us tape your idea.
And then hear the results on Secretly Incredibly Fascinating from MaximumFun.org.
And we're back.
All right. So we're making our way back from the water to the shore, but we're going to stop for two activities that happen on the break between the water and the beach and the sandy part of the beach, the more packed sand part of the beach.
All right.
The first of those is skimming. You mentioned it before. Tell the people of the world one more time what skimming is if folks are unfamiliar.
It's like a thin little board and you throw it in front of you as the waves are sort of like recessing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get on it and you try to stay on it and you skim along the very thin water for a time. And then you're not doing it anymore. And that is an activity that we do.
It feels like skateboarding.
Yeah.
But instead of wheels, it's a thin layer of water.
Yeah.
It's fun. It takes a knack.
Yeah.
I prefer bodyboard. I don't think it's going to beat bodyboarding, but it's a fun, silly, cool activity. And the other one is the one that has become the cliche of the dating profile. Long sunset walks on the beach, Hal.
That's true. You walk along the shoreline.
Yeah, you're not up in the sand where the chairs are. You're right along that shoreline. Beautiful night. One of the people you love next to you.
Yeah. Or like a best friend. You take a walk together. Yeah. And it's a great time to have a serious talk. And the number of like deep conversations I've had walking along shorelines.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, a family member, a friend, whoever. I couldn't even begin to tally them. There's no way on the Lord's green earth that this is the best activity at the beach.
Do you not love your friends and family that you walk along the beach with and have those long, extensive moments? I do. You just love sandcastles more?
Look, if the only way I can have a deep conversation with them is to have the sound of crashing waves to give us privacy, there's a larger problem at play there. I always appreciate a deep conversation with people. I appreciate knowing what's going on with them and listening a lot more than I offer about myself because I'm uncomfortable with that. But, I just don't think that's the thing. And I think a lot of times people have taken this romantic idea of it and tried to manufacture it. And it's never quite the right thing. That doesn't mean it isn't a lovely walk. Doesn't mean you don't see great things. But I think the reputation is a lot bigger than the actual payoff.
Sure. There are people in Lincoln who are putting it on their dating profiles.
Yeah.
When there is not a beach in sight.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's a stand-in for I like going deep.
Yes.
With a nice background. But you know what? Look at any sunset. There are some beautiful sunsets all over the world.
Walk on a treadmill by a TV. You're fine.
Yeah. So nothing so far has beaten the boogie board. Now,
no, but something will.
I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I think the boogie board is a pretty high contender for me. But I have a list of on sand activities.
Okay.
And you can tell me if you would have any additional ones you would like to add to this, any that come to the front.
Okay.
Frisbee, volleyball, the first few are sports. Frisbee, volleyball, football. All super fun beach activities. Running charades. I've done running charades on the beach, and I love a good game of running charades. I love a great game of running charades on the beach. It's actually particularly well suited to it because it's noisy enough that you can't hear the other groups. Running on the sand adds a little bit of an obstacle, which is kind of fun. In fact, did I ever tell you this? When I was a kid and we lived in the Panhandle when I was really small, my dad was the doctor for the football team, and they used to practice on the sand so that when they got to the football field, they were lightning fast. I thought that was a really smart way for them to practice.
Absolutely.
And then sand art, whether that is a castle or a sculpture or any sort of structure, or, hey, look, I turned my friend Hal into Hal's severed head. Ooh.
Yes. Burying somebody up to their neck in sand.
Yes. And then the other two, I think, are just relaxation ones, which is chill on the sand in a chair under an umbrella, get some sun, have a couple of drinks, maybe some snacks. And of course, one that is less common, but is doable here in Southern California and not far from where you used to live. And another one of my favorites, the beachside bonfire. Love a beachside bonfire. Do you have any extras that you would like? I don't mean to say extras. Any others you would like to add to this list?
Yes, I would say proper football also.
Oh, yes.
In addition to American football, playing soccer, as they call it. Paddleball also is a popular sport.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, paddleball.
Flying a kite is another beachside activity because you have great winds by the beach. So there are always people flying kites. And there is laying out and having a drink, but there's also just laying there and reading a book. Some people will come to read their book. Other people will take a nap. Taking a nap in the sun is like you let the sound of the waves and the birds and like the indistinct chatter around you.
Do those not all fall into relax in a chair under an umbrella?
I
think of that as,
but
I think that
that's
is
fine.
One activity. You know
that's fine. That's fine. I think that's everything.
Yeah. Let's talk about these sports first.
Okay.
What stands out? There's a couple that stand out to me of the sports. I think volleyball and football, not to be confused with football, I think are both really fun, easy to grasp team activities that everyone can play if you have a big group with you.
Sure. Frisbee too. Frisbee's fun because you're just throwing a frisbee around.
Yeah, I guess I don't think of that as a sport. That I guess is more of an activity.
I mean, you could play ultimate frisbee on the beach.
Oh, that's true.
Then it is 100% a sport.
But don't you have to have those sticks with the chains on them?
No, that's disc golf.
That's
ultimate
disc golf.
frisbee is like football. You can throw it. You basically start at an end zone.
I sound like such a indoor kid right now. I have no idea that those were two different things.
And I sound like a kid who went to a hippie Quaker school, and this is how we spent our lunch times and after school.
Awesome.
You have two end zones, much like football. You have you just set up like shoe, there's a goal line, shoe, there's a goal line. Or you do like 4 on each side, so you have an end zone specified. You start it at your goal line, you throw it as hard as you can to give it to the other team. You can only advance the disc by throwing and catching it. So if you're once you catch it, all you can do is throw it. So if somebody's covering you, you have to be able to throw it like underhand or overhand or throw it like that.
Oh, so you stop moving the second that it's in your hand.
If it gets intercepted, it goes the other way. If it touches the ground, it goes the other way. If you walk or run with it, it goes the other way.
Yeah.
The goal is you're trying to get it into the end zone similar to football.
Can I tell you this about my Frisbee skills? And this might be adding subjectivity to an objective argument. I am terrible at throwing a Frisbee because I never know when to let go of it, which means if you and I were standing 20 feet from each other, directly across from one another, and you were standing at 12 o'clock to me, there is a good chance that Frisbee will go either toward the 2 o'clock, the 3 o'clock, maybe even the 5 or the 8 o'clock. Who knows?
I bet I could teach you.
Really?
Sure. Happy to.
Thanks, buddy.
We can go to a park. I'll teach you how to throw a Frisbee.
Good. Let's talk about football, soccer.
Football? It's fun. I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
I haven't played since I was a little kid. And then I got not the new, but like the current version of FIFA for PlayStation. And so I'll play it like very early morning or at night. And it's so much fun that it has me thinking like, I kind of want to watch the World Cup. Like I get maybe interested in it.
Well, we have a World Cup coming up. We have the greatest team in the world, the U.S. women's national team. July 20th to August 20th is the Women's World Cup in Australia, New Zealand.
Can I tell you the first thing I did in the game was play the Women's World Cup as the U.S. and I just obliterated everybody.
Of course. I feel like that's like playing John Madden football as all Madden versus the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, they're so good. Like there's just talent all over the pitch. Yeah. It's so much fun. Like it's a great way to learn the game because everybody's good.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, okay. I get the mechanics of how this works. But I do think that is a high energy exertion sport, aerobic sport.
It also seems like a brutal ankle twister.
Can be a brutal ankle twister.
The grandpa in me is like, eesh, that sounds dangerous.
Volleyball too. Volleyball, at least you've got different zones you're working in, but you're going to go into the sand.
Yeah.
I do think volleyball feels more like a traditional beach. Like they set up volleyball courts. Yeah. And it's like a thing you go to do. There are people out here in Southern California that I guarantee you every morning have a group that goes and plays anywhere up and down the coast that they have these nets set up.
Yeah, those, that's where the U.S. national team, you can go down. If you're going down that strand, you'll see that whole row of volleyball. I love volleyball as a beach sport. It just feels like summertime to me. I think of the sports, that's probably the standout.
Yeah, and it's one everybody can play. If you're not great at it, that's fine. Most people are not.
Yeah.
You just have a good time with it. There's usually one or two people who are way too competitive, but that's everything. Guess what?
Yeah.
That's everything. I think there's also something to be said. And American football is fun too.
That's more like playing a game of 500. You're not going to line up and tackle and run plays.
Yeah. You're playing two-hand touch. You're playing flag.
Yeah.
But I think it's more fun to just have a catch. If you're I would say like having a catch either with a football, and then that's where you get like the Whistler ones with the tail.
Mm-hmm.
Where you hear like,
our version of a catch. I love just a catch at the beach as its own thing outside of sports.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's actually a much better way of encompassing some of the non-competitive. There's not a score to it, but it can be a frisbee. It can be paddleball back and forth. Our version of it was Velcro mitts and a tennis ball. We had that.
Yeah.
Loved that version. Or the ball and one's got a basket or like the hook thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Almost like
100%.
Like lacrosse. But yeah, I think having a catch is a really great one. There's many different ways you can do it. And it's just stuff whatever your version of having a catch into your bag going to the beach is. I think that's a great option.
And maybe the most age inclusive, because it could be a bunch of adults. It could be adults and children. It could be a bunch of children. Like people of all ages could be getting together, guys, gals, and non-binary pals of all ages getting together and tossing around, you know, whatever it is and the great thing is you really only need two people. So it starts with two. One person comes in for a little while. Then they're like, I'm going to go get in the way of all the surfers.
Yeah.
And then, people come in and out.
This is my wave. Okay. I'll go play more. More football.
You keep doing it. And then you get into like, especially if it's like an American football, you're like, all right, I'm going to throw it at the end zone. I want you to try to dive for this one. Let's see if we can recreate the immaculate reception. You be Dwight Clark and I'm going to throw, you know what I mean? Like you get to replay.
Yeah.
You can be David Tyree, trap it against your head.
That helmet trap is amazing.
Yeah.
But if you're not wearing a helmet, that one might hurt. But you usually use like a Nerf football.
Yeah. If you use the one with the tail, I think those are the best ones to bring.
Yeah.
Because you always throw a spiral. So it's not only easier to throw, but it is easier to catch.
Yeah. I'm on board. There's another one that I'd like to talk about. There's so many of these and they're so fun. Mm-hmm. One that I think is a joy, not just, we forgot. Oh, you know what? Okay.
What?
Hang on.
What happened?
There's one we forgot, but this one made me think of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's one that is a joy to watch as much as it is a joy to do. And that is flying a kite.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the one thing The thing, you mentioned it before and I wrote it down and that's what I wanted to jump to now. But the thing that I did not mention before that neither of us mentioned is kite surfing, which if you've never seen kite surfing before, as soon as this episode is over, go on YouTube, turn on some loud music and watch kite surfing. And it is the most delightful summertime thing. It's like watching a surfer who has Kathy Rigby's rigging from a production of Peter Pan, just flying through the air, these surfers. And it is bonkers and it's so much fun. But I think flying a kite is one. Every time I see a kite at the beach, even if it's not the one that I've brought out, it's like, hey, look, kite. Thanks, kite person.
I can't think of kite surfing without thinking of John Kerry, because I remember when he ran for president, they're like, what's your favorite sport? He was like, kite surfing. And I was like, oh, you're rich. You've never, there's no way the answer would be like street basketball.
Yeah.
I love strapping a kite to myself.
Yeah.
And surfing around. Something everybody can do.
Sure. We all have Heinz branded kites and surfboards, right?
Look, as soon as that answer came in, you're like, oh, we're losing.
Yeah.
There's no way he will win this election. He will get trounced.
Look, if that's the game, then you know what my favorite beach activity is? Flying my biplane with a big long tail on the back with a message to someone.
Teresa, I miss you. Come back.
Why doesn't anybody, it's always like a proposal or a restaurant advertisement. It's never like something that I really need you to hear this. You're not hearing me.
Grandpa Elliot died. 2-for-1 wings at Bosco's. That's the trick, is you only get half of one and then it's way cheaper. You just split it with a local restaurant.
Oh my gosh.
Flying a kite is great.
I think flying a kite's great. Now I'm looking at what we've got here and it seems like a few that we've been talking about are coming through to the finals. But there are a few that we haven't. There's one last little section that we haven't talked about, and that is the relaxation. That is, well, you know what? We can add sand art into this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Making sand castles, though, I'm generally, you know what? I do like it. Yeah, I do have to go back in the water after I do it because you are a mess.
Gets you dirty.
Absolute mess.
Kids don't care.
Kids don't care. Yeah.
That's the way you learn to go into the ocean afterwards, as your parents are like, before you get in the car, you cannot even put your flip flops on until you go in there. I'm not going to towel you off or do any, I'm going to dip you in like you were Achilles in the river Styx. I'm holding you by your heels, dipping you in, and then I will towel you off.
Yeah. You are a wick and I am a Williamsburg, Virginia candle maker. I am dunking you several times. Yeah, I do like doing it. And of course, I'm the uncle that always gets buried up to his neck by the nieces and nephews and friends of the nieces and nephews and family buddies. And yeah, I always seem to be that one.
If no children are present, are you making a sandcastle?
No, generally not.
It is something that is generally reserved for children, and it is nothing more fun, whether it's with a bucket or making drip castles is fun.
Yeah.
Or people who take it very seriously. And again, I have immense respect for them because it is 100% an art. You're making art that is by its very nature ephemeral, and it's beautiful and unbelievable how much time it takes. And then the ocean will make it go away.
Yeah. Venice has some amazing versions of that where someone has done a perfect dolphin or, you know, just a giant elaborate, hey, here's the Red Keep. Or just like really specific, detailed, beautiful things.
Yes.
You know what, though? That kind of makes me sad that my answer to would you make a sandcastle without kids around was no. Now I kind of want to just, the next time I'm at the beach, just see if I still got it, you know? If my architecture class that I took in kindergarten holds up.
There's nothing wrong with doing it every once in a while, but it's not the thing that you don't go like, I'm going with all my friends to the beach and I can't wait to make a sandcastle. You're just not. Can we stop at CVS so I can pick up a plastic bucket with a portcullis?
Yeah. You know, those plastic buckets that have, archery nooks. Like speaking of plastic buckets, I just knocked my, Captain Kirk plastic bank.
There he goes.
Off of my desk. Well, talking about going to the beach with your friends. Let's talk about what you do during the daytime when you go to the beach with your friends, which is sit in your chairs under an umbrella, relax, chat, have a couple of drinks, read, nap, all of those things. Or what you do at night at the beach with your friends, sit around a bonfire. Someone usually has a guitar and make s'mores, shoot the breeze, have a couple of beers. look like a Budweiser ad.
Yeah.
I do love a bonfire, but you can't do it everywhere.
I love a bonfire too. There are a lot of rules around it, which kind of sucks. And invariably, you're there with some girl you just met, and along comes her ex-boyfriend along with the rest of his karate class and just beats the crap out of you. They get rid of your soccer ball that you were like, finally like, oh, I just got here from New Jersey to Reseda. And now I'm like, oh, but I play soccer. So maybe this is like, I'm making some friends. And then along comes Johnny and all of his pals from Cobra Kai.
Well, what you do, Hal, here's what you do. You got to just put the soccer ball away and find a new hobby that it works in Southern California. You know, these guys are doing karate. Why don't you jump into some karate? I bet you'd be good at it.
I tried to go to the karate class and then I saw all of them were in there. Okay. I don't want to get bullied anymore.
Look, Hal, here, take this paper. Read this number.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Yeah. What I want you to do is I want you to get a great big rug.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to find this old Okinawan man named Mr. Miyagi, and he can turn that rug into a deadly weapon and just beat the hell out of all of those Cobra Kai guys for you.
Will he be relying on trauma from World War II that gets him drunk every once in a while? And we're just sort of okay with it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think here's the thing about relaxing. It's not bonfire. Bonfires are great, but it's not bonfire.
Yeah.
Relaxing on the beach, doing all this, it's such a catch-all.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are people who come to the beach just for that. That is all they want. Like, I don't want to get in the water. If they get in the water, they like stand at their feet and they do like the splash. They sort of like mist themselves a little bit and then they go back and lay down. But they're there just to lay down and relax. I get it.
I do. I am not one of those people.
Me neither. I can't.
Because I get like so hot. 15 minutes. That's exactly. That is home base for going and doing other fun things, getting in the water when you need to cool off. But the sitting there for me, I get antsy really fast.
Yes. 100%. I do too.
So I think that we have 4 finalists.
Okay.
If you think anything else should go into the finals, let me know.
I will.
But I think there are 4 finalists here. And they are bodyboard, volleyball, kite, and have a catch.
I don't know the kite. I don't know. I put kite in there. Here's why.
Yeah.
I mean, the best kites are those planes.
Yeah. Or the big dragons, the ones that take like 2-3 people to operate the different strings on.
Yeah. The one that's like, Angela, the rash is serious. Have a Pepsi. Like those.
Wait a minute. Really... Are you seeing kites that are advertising too? Like, yeah. There's the guy that flies the plane, but also somebody with a kite who's out there like, Dave gets to use the plane today. I have to stand here on the sand and wave this thing around.
If you're really good at flying a kite, why not make a little money off of it on the side?
Sure.
The reason why is
a very Hal Lublin sentence. Hey, look, not for nothing. Here's how we do things up north. You can make a buck off it. Come here, kid.
Again, flying a kite at the beach is something that a handful of people are doing. Doesn't feel like a catch-all beach activity.
Yeah.
And you do it because the wind is so good there.
All right. We're eliminating kite. So we have bodyboard, volleyball, and catch.
What do you think?
I feel like I didn't even have this one listed in this way. This sort of became its own category and in a sense, its own thing. I really like have a catch.
I do too.
I really like have a catch because anybody can do it. You can do it in the water or out of the water. It has enough variety that you can do it with a frisbee, a Velcro ball. I guess a paddle ball is kind of the equivalent of a catch. You can do it with a football. Yeah, I really like just have a catch.
I do too. That was going to be my choice. And then I was just sitting here thinking, when you go to the beach, what does the beach have that no other place has?
Danger.
You are not paying attention to the world around you, Mark Gagliardi.
No, it's the only place with any danger.
No.
Nothing else is dangerous except the beach.
You've never eaten at Jack in the Box.
Here's the thing about Jack in the Box. You can't call it a taco if you just cut your burger in half and then wrap it in a shell. Put American cheese on it.
That's
Put you on blast. Jack in the Box. No, what does the beach have that nowhere else has?
It has the ocean. And what are all the things that you do, whether it's laying out, whether it's running around, what are you doing that for? You're doing it. I'm going to answer. I thought you were with me on it, but not. The same thing at a pool. Like you lay there so that you can get hot enough to go into the water so that it doesn't matter how cold the water is. So I would contend that if that is the case, that the ocean is the thing that a visit to the beach has that nobody where else has. Cause there are places that have there are places that make like sand pits and stuff. There are parks where you can lay down on the grass, but the ocean exists only at the coasts. And therefore you're going there because of the ocean.
Introducing the bodyboard?
No, the bodyboard's in there.
No, I mean, because you said I put the bodyboard in there. You said you were going to eliminate the body. You said nothing's going to beat the body, or the bodyboard's going to get beaten. That's why I picked the catch.
I thought it was, but now I'm thinking about it. Like everything kind of revolves around getting into the water at some point. Everybody gets into the water at some point, even if it's just a little bit.
I don't know, man. I've seen people that are like, I don't want to get wet at all because then I'll get sandy.
Maybe. Yeah. Even their feet. They don't even go and dip a foot in just to feel it because it feels good. It feels good when it washes over your feet.
Yeah.
And then you use the little shower, the little foot shower as you're leaving.
Yeah.
Bing, bang, boom, but you're not getting it anywhere else. I think it's bodyboarding. I do think it's bodyboarding.
I am on board for team bodyboard. I told you I had 20 feet away from me right now. Let's go, dude.
All right. People of the world, get your belly on the board. If you don't have a board, get a raft. If you don't have a raft, you can use your body. You don't need any equipment, but you can feel like this music is appropriate for you because you are surfing. You're surfing as free as Dobie Gillis. Didn't he surf?
I think so.
Dobie Gillis was a surfer.
Until he took that 3-hour tour, right? Hey, oh no, that was Dobie Gillis's buddy.
That was Maynard G. Krebs.
You watch way too much Nick at Night.
Or like Gidget. Gidget also said, you can feel like a surfer.
Or Duke Kahanamoku.
Yes. You can be whatever you want to be. It brings you in to the shore. It's fun. It involves a little bit of everything. There's a little bit of like swimming, a little wading around, a little bit of being in the water, and a way to come back in without having the waves constantly knock you over, because that's going to happen if you try to wade back in. So that's it. That's the thing to do at the beach. Everything else is the appetizer to get you warm enough to go do that. It is bodyboarding. Asked and answered. Who knew? You knew.
I was excited about it. I love bodyboarding, and now I really want to go. Maybe I'll get up at like 5 a.m. and do like what surfers do where they're real serious about it. I'm going to be the one real serious bodyboarder.
In a suit?
Yeah.
Wetsuit?
No, not a wetsuit, a suit. Brooks Brothers.
Just the suit?
Three-piece. Brooks Brothers three-piece. Yeah. Just
like
run out into the ocean in a business suit. Yeah. Doesn't it?
Yeah,
or
I saw that scene in
a commercial.
Pop chips.
Get wild. This topic is close. Thank you to Greg on for this topic. Your topics are always a blast. This was no different. There are many more topics to discuss. So please reach out to us on Twitter at We Got This Tweets, or
email us at wegotThisPodcast@gmail.com, or go to our Facebook group where many great suggestions are happening all the time, and share your beach memories. That's facebook.com/group/WeGotThisPodcast. Thank you to producer Ken Plume, whom you can support outside of the show at patreon.com/Ken Plume, researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kelman, and QA engineer Jen Alba.
And thanks, of course, to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, the people of the world, for giving us an opportunity to sit and get real excited about summertime and having fun at the beach. If we could, we would take all of you to the beach. We would set up all of our stuff. We would be beach rich, like we had just come back from Cabela's with 20 umbrellas, sitting with all of the people of the world. And we would have just a delightful time arguing about the important things, as we always do. So to you, I say thank you, thank you, thank you. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin, and don't worry, everybody. We got this.
We got this.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows, supported
directly
by you.